All right, we are live. Friday night, September 27, 2024. That's Lucifer 10, 33rd degree. Lots to talk about. I think we should just start with this truthful statement. Elon Musk said one of the truest things that he's ever said in his entire career as a space faker. He said, "Looks like CGI, but these are real video highlights from the Polaris program space mission." So he freely admits it looks like CGI. So for all those knee-jerk defenders of space fakery who say, "Oh, it's obviously not CGI," no, it's not. Musk is an expert in this arena. They work with simulation all the time. He would know if it looks like CGI. So I'm just going to take him at his word. It looks like a video game. And I guess by his reasoning, of course, it looks so fake, therefore it's real. But I wasn't even slightly impressed by this. It's like they're not even trying anymore. All right, we are joined by Matt X, Diana South, Austin 108, Jennifer Reeves, Ted Stryker 2112, Elephant Tusks, Messianic Charlatan. 144,000, 2,300 days says love, love, love. Maggart 4832 and Quays. Okay, we're still just under the requisite 33. We'll give a few more moments for everyone to show up. I have archives to upload tonight. I'm behind on everything, but I'm working on it. Let's see here. So Elon Musk literally says, "Looks like CGI, but these are all real video highlights from the Polaris program." We've been having these debates about whether or not special effects are at work at NASA with people who don't really have a clue. And I think this really works in our favor. We have to get to this point where they admit that it's fakeable, admit that it looks fake. And once you get them down that path, you bring them that much closer to honesty. Donna South says, "Musk has a blue check, must be good." Yeah, I look at the blue checks as almost like flotation devices in the sea of irrelevance, where people are so submerged by memes and mind viruses and narratives, and it's all narrative warfare at this point, that they can't filter it. They can't parse it. They're busy. They have lives. So they outsource that part of their perception, the navigating this, like I call it, or Huxley's term, sea of irrelevance. Navigating this is a lot easier when you have a few blue checks you can depend upon. And I remember when that billionaire Mark Cuban was literally crying when Musk put blue checks for sale for the peasants, because we are going to now outnumber the number of people who had attained the blue check because of their status within the PSYOP entertainment complex. You know, these actors, A-listers, they're all blue checks, and here we are. It's like two tiers, but now we're all part of it, and they don't know who to follow. Which blue checks can we follow? Joined by Smarty Pants, Flozik, Mazel, Lord Laney says, "Viva la autohoaxery." Yes. Yeah, this is a very important development. It really is. And it's a great time to burn some bridges, tear down some guardrails, and hopefully, I think, incite some more interesting and productive conversations. Because Twitter's a mess, X is a mess, and a lot of that stuff is just bots. And I have a feeling that after the election, a lot of these bots are going to disappear. And when the dust settles, what are we going to have? There's going to be a lot of out-of-work influencers who put all of their social capital and all of their influence into MAGA land. Who knows what's going to happen? But if he doesn't win, a lot of these people have a lot to lose. And I think there'll be people looking for answers. I mean, I noticed that the QAnon movement died, but those people never went away. And they're still looking for some answers. Like they're looking at Roseanne Barr, screaming about how we're literally ruled by vampires that eat babies. Now, I'm not really up on, all of my research on it, but I didn't think vampires and cannibals were the same thing. Like werewolves eat people, vampires suck the blood, but I don't think of vampires as meat eaters in that sense, as carnivorous. They almost seem like vegan, like they just have to drink the blood, but I never think of them as cannibals. But she says that Hillary Clinton literally eats babies, and Tucker Carlson just lets her go. He laughs at it, and the media is driven wild by it. They don't know what to think. But this is what Q was 8 years ago. QAnon 8 years ago said Hillary Clinton's eating babies. And here we are, 2024, 40 days from the election, and Roseanne Barr is saying the exact same thing. It's not even novel, but they're just not dressing it up with this Q nonsense. Joined by Howard Boyd. Thank you for joining. So we were just looking at this obvious CGI and Elon Musk admitting it's CGI. Good for him, being a little honest. There was a comment I didn't address today that I wanted to get to separately. Water walking GJ Jesus Us, interesting username, said, I watched this video about the Templars and the Baphomet on YouTube, and it kept mentioning this guy named Eliphas Levi. His name combined looks like Elvis. Maybe that's who Elvis is named after in a strange way. So I've never seen this direct connection between Elvis and Baphomet, although I do recall there was a conversation between Jurassic Liars and myself, and we did get into this a little bit for a few reasons. We were talking about the Beast from the Sea, the West Coast, and the Levi's, and how Levi's is an anagram for Elvis. It has the upside down crown, has the R, which is the 18th letter, or 1-8, Elvis's birthday. I mean, he has this breakdown of the Levi's jeans and how it connects to this. But we were getting into this, and I mentioned that the creator of the Baphomet symbol is Eliphas Levi, or Levi. And how, interestingly, I was thinking about this, that the symbol of the Church of Satan is the Baphomet. But on the circle around the five-pointed star, they spell Leviathan. So Levi, like Levi, like Leviathan. And then it was pointed out to me by someone who was really into this stuff that it's also an anagram for Anton LaVey. Like, his name is LaVey, the high priest. So you got LaVey, Levi, Leviathan, Eliphas Levi. There's some kind of repetition here. And interestingly, though, and this tied into the Beast from the Sea thing in the West Coast, that the Church of Satan is situated on the West Coast, San Francisco, and that their altars are facing the west, and ultimately they seem to be praying to Leviathan. They describe as the serpent of the abyss, and they are essentially worshiping. I mean, that's the best word I can come up with, the beast from the sea. And this likely connects to Rosemary's Baby. They take her out on a boat, and she has the devil basically Cosby's her. She has a baby. It's just a horrible movie. I mean, Roman Polanski, all these psychos. It's just interesting. You look at all the Hollywood Satanism connection. It's all there. And we've already talked about the Charles Manson connection with this satanic church, as in the girl that killed Susan Atkins is the name. The witch from the Church of Satan is the one who killed Sharon Tate, Polanski's wife, in the Manson killings. But anyway, in our conversation, we were talking about Leviathan, Anton LaVey, the serpent of or the beast from the sea. And it seems like there is something there. And somehow around this, it ties into this bigger narrative of the Antichrist and Elvis. Fascinating stuff. Hopefully he'll call in. Hopefully we didn't lose anybody. It's probably easier with pictures. But I do think there's a great deal of code here. I mean, there's no coincidences. The high priest of the Church of Satan's name wasn't actually Anton LaVey. They obviously made up a name for him. And the names all have a great deal of significance. Elephant Tusk says, Tim, did you see what Netanyahu said to the UN? The United Nations is a house of darkness, a swamp of anti-Semitic bile. Is it an anti-Semitic flat earth society? He said that? Wow. Let me take a look at this. Yeah, okay. Netanyahu attacks the UN as an anti-Israel flat earth society. I'd like to say he's wrong, but the truth of it is a lot of the top-tier flat earthers, Eric Dubay, Nathan Thompson, yeah, they all say, they're all basically, I mean, I don't know if if they identify as anti-Semites, but they're definitely on that team. When I met Nathan Thompson, flat earth guy, he's like, have you read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion? I'm like, yeah, I saw through that hoax the first time I read it. It's funny though. I'm just saying, it's not like the flat earthers don't deserve that, because they have mixed in with it. The flat earth demographic at large has absorbed all the essentially mainstream conspiracy theories, and ultimately the one that pins world control and domination on Jews is an old conspiracy theory. And it's not that different from the left wing conspiracy theory that we call critical race theory, that says that systemic racism is the big oppressor and whites are the rulers of the world and they're oppressing everybody else. Yeah, that is just a mirror image of this Jews control the society. And these are just scapegoat stories. I don't even think they're that important. There's like myths, contemporary myths. But that's kind of funny. Yeah, I approve of this. I think it's funny. I mean, because they use the term flat Earth society to mean pre, like pre-enlightenment, the idea that there were flat earthers that didn't want the globe or something, which was never the case. There's so many misconceptions. There was never like flat earthers out there fighting against the globe when they introduced it, like it was the latest thing. I don't think there was ever a thing. There was this myth that Christopher Columbus was warned by people that he was going to fall off the edge. That's certainly not true either. In fact, that's an admitted hoax and a lie. Okay, let's see what else we have here. I mean, at least he didn't call them anti-Semitic auto-hoaxers. And that's one of the things they often aim for, is they've been trying to destroy the reputations of conspiracy theorists by conflating it with hate. I was the one who really pointed out that they used to call you conspiracy theorists, but that makes it seem like you're thinking, oh, they have theories. And they're putting some work into it. And then at some point, it was like 2018, 2019, they switched it. And all of a sudden, they became conspiracists. And I was like, that's pretty obvious. Every headline I see, it just stands out. Racist. Conspiracist. Yeah, that's a smear. It's very clever. But this is typical. And I often describe how they will manipulate words in order to create perceptions. And that's one of the instances of it. It's hardly even subliminal. Okay, so somebody says, take the mask off. Does it sound like I'm wearing a mask? Because I didn't see any chemtrails today, so I didn't put one on. But if there's an issue with my volume, I'll fix it right now. Okay, here I am in the sound system. And it looks like... I mean, oftentimes I come in here, I check my mic, and it's like 5% lower. No, mic should be fine. And I'm not wearing a mask. Joined by Clockwork 113. LAC, thank you for joining. So let's move along. Elon Musk admits it all looks fake. Rosancy says Democrats eat babies. We're approaching 10-4. And looking at previous 10-4s, one of our think tankers found that was the date last year that NASA found a witch's hat in space they call witch head. Which is another way of saying MAGA head, because MAGA means witch. In fact, if you're in the Temple of Set, which is Michael Aquinos's offshoot, there's some kind of a theological debate, some kind of divergence where the Church of Satan, ironically, is like atheistic. They don't even believe in Satan. And so Michael Aquinos did, but he worshipped him as Set, this big snake, and the Prince of Darkness. So he formed his own group, the Temple of Set, and he's the one who published Mind Wars, which I think is a pretty good description for how things actually work today. But yeah, there was this split. He becomes a head of his own group, and fifth degree mages or warlocks are called magas in his church. So there are a few associations with that. Unmuted Mind says, I'm on a phone, no opinion. I can hear you over high wind. Sounds all right. Ted Stryker says, IPS was brought up on Faco's stream last night. All good about McDonald's. Keeping those alive. Yeah, the idea that they're just killing everybody. Like some people say, oh, McDonald's, they serve baby meat in the burritos, in the breakfast burritos. And if you say that to me, I'm going to think you're crazy. Not because I don't believe you, but because you believe it and you haven't stopped it. Because if I saw somebody eating a baby, I would stop it. I would protest. I would block the menu, and I'd say, hey, you know they're serving baby meat in there, right? But I don't see any of these people who are comfortable going online, publishing statements about McDonald's serving baby meat and not doing anything about it. And then others will say, well, they're just trying to kill you because why? I don't understand. You'd want to keep your customers alive. So I've had this notion that in all likelihood, the special sauce in the Big Mac has some kind of life extension. I mean, it would benefit them, would it not? It would benefit them to keep their customers healthy, to get more money out of them. So their greed, actually works in your favor as a consumer. This is something, I think it was called the hidden hand. Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, talking about how, human nature being what it is, we are greedy, or we do have self-interest, that you can channel that self-interest for a gain for everybody, properly directed. And that was one of the ideas here with the idea that selling products at a profit, some people think that's inherently wrong, but is it? Are you not elevating standards of living?
New coffee shop sale from Shan.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Another shop sale. So if you're looking at the screen, this was the intro tonight, and I sent this out there. This is a cyborg penguin on a mini tank, kind of an armored personnel carrier. And I've been painting a lot of rather it's Dolly generated penguins. And at the top of IPS.monster, I've been posting the latest completed watercolors. And I switched to watercolor because it doesn't destroy my clothes. And I can complete more paintings at a time faster. Watercolor versus acrylic. I mean, I actually went from oil to acrylic for that same reason. But if you click that on the top, you'll see whatever I have available. And I just listed a couple. This one here is a cyborg big head penguin on a mini tank. And this one's all watercolor. I didn't use ink. In fact, I use a watercolor pen for some details, but I don't want to have it where it's ink and then colored in. I want to just go straight watercolor, but this is one example. So anyway, I don't know which one just sold, but I appreciate it because this is all going to the IPS in our infinite plan. Eddie F says the carnivore diet is straight up killing people. Well, can you really? I don't know. I'm not here to argue that. Like, I'm not a dietitian. I don't have any medical expertise. I'm not a personal trainer. Like, that's not my forte at all. You can just find that on YouTube somewhere. But I can't say. What I will say is that I'm not here with an agenda. And I don't care if somebody doesn't want to shoot up whatever Big Brother wants you to. It's none of my business. But to take the stance that I am anti is to engage in the game. And I'm anti-anti. But I'm not anti-non. So I'm anti-pro, anti-anti. But if you're a non-participant, yeah, I'm with that because that's where I'm at. So yeah, about meat, is it killing people? Are people dying? I don't know. Maybe in your neck of the woods they serve baby meat also. Mazel says, when I bought my ticket the other day, the art was all sold out. Yeah, sound and graphics with the Kraken, says Nicotramus. Yes, I want to watch that new Godzilla movie. Someone had mentioned last night, what were we saying? It was because Godzilla is like the nuke, and this is originally it's a metaphor for this. But King Kong is another instance of the rage virus that we've been talking about. Monkey Man coming out on 311, Nope with the murderous chimp, a bad monkey coming out in the day that monkeypox comes out, and the 90-foot statue of the monkey god is erected in Houston as a million people are playing Black Myth as the monkey god. Like, we've been talking about how this all correlates to 28 Days Later, the rage virus, and the movie Civil War, directed by the author of 28 Days Later. All of these tie in the same theme, along with Planet of the Apes, that the disease X is the rage virus. And this was given away by Jordan Peele massively when he said that his inspiration for Nope was the George Floyd spectacle. Connecting the rage virus, the raging chimp, to the meme or the image, the graphic depiction of Chauvin killing Floyd. And if you remember, in 28 Days Later, what caused the monkeys to go crazy? They were watching violence on TV. So this is the rage virus. This is the idea of we talk about thought crimes and how they have the public now up to speed on the language, like, oh, we know about misinformation, mind viruses, you can catch them. Yeah, ultimately they've built this as a construct. And so now we do have an example of a type of mind virus that we cannot tolerate as a society, and it's the one that causes people to go apeshit, the rage virus. So it's a story they've been building for years. Not a coincidence that 28 years later is being filmed right now, but now we can attach it all to the ape, the giant King Kong. And I think one of the connections here is we're talking about the nuke and the rage virus correlating. And who's going to bring the nuke? The ones infected by the rage virus, the right wingers, the domestic violent extremist on the far right, the Turner Diaries crowd. So the story's pretty clear, but that was an element added last night that the King Kong is just another instance of this rage virus. Quay says, does anyone here want a painting but can't afford one? Yeah, I got your message about that. You said that you would buy a painting, and I was thinking I have to come up with some way to do a giveaway. I was thinking about doing gold stars for people who call out the right answer, the pop quizzes, but every pop quiz the answer is 33. But I might come up with something. Slick Rick says, free Big Mac with your next booster. I'll throw in some fries. King Ravana says, suicide pod doctor arrested. Carl Sagan quotes all over the suicide pod. Okay, let me take a look at that. That sounds interesting. I've not heard of this. Reported suicide capsule. Death of U.S. woman. The Sarco capsule is designed to allow a person sitting inside to push a button that injects nitrogen gas into a sealed chamber. And we were just talking about the death penalty yesterday. With regard to that, is it Marcelo? What is the name? The 55-year-old that was just executed, and it created a bit of controversy. The Innocence Project's all over it. Marcellus Williams. Now, we've been looking at names a lot, like Suni Williams and is it Butch Williams? And we're talking about the astronauts. I got to bring up these astronauts because we're also talking about this today. So you have Butch Williams and Suni. What is her name? We're looking at the stranded astronauts. I want to put all these tabs out there, and then we'll get through these. So I was not familiar with this kind of a Dr. Kevorkian-like situation. I'll have to look into it, but it just stood out to me because capsule. And we're talking about the Calypso, the capsule, and that's kind of a key term here. And capsule has a number of connotations. It correlates with the capstone at the top of the obelisk, and the meaning of that is like the top of the pyramid. So there's something to that. We'll look into it. About tomorrow, I don't know. It's been complete chaos. I have very little time. And I just got through with the job interview today, which took a lot of my time. And that, though, just for the future reference, in 5 to 7 days, I'll know if I'm hired. And that's going to be 12 weeks of training, but the hours are easy to manage. I'll be out before 9 p.m. each night. So I haven't had a lot of time to put into anything. So I might even have to cut it short tonight. But I can't answer too many questions on it. We have limited time, but I will let you know in the morning. I haven't had time to even adequately promote it, to be honest. And I have a lot of other things going on. So we'll see. And as far as the tabloid, I haven't had time to place the order, but we are increasing the number for the minimum order. One of the reasons I'm getting the job is so I can afford to get the publishing wing moving, because that has to happen. And it's a viable product. I have 6 months of content ready to go into it. I have a full-blown business plan, distribution method. It just needs a little bit of working capital. And a few months at a call center will really make this thing move. So that's the next phase here. But I put a lot of time into other things like the painting and raising money. So that should actually even out. So I'll let you know. You'll be the first to know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I can't give anything definitive. I haven't even had time to contact somebody who had a presentation, a 45-minute thing. I haven't had time to even read the email. That's how pressed for time I've been. And I had a few days I thought were going to be off, but I had other stuff added on, and it's been insane. It really has been insane. I wish I had a documentary crew just for one day to tailgate me, because you would see what this it's chaos for a lot of reasons, but it's too much to explain. But I think that they're going to hire me because I did an identical job before. Before I got into this full time, I was working for DirecTV, and it's a comparable position, better company. They have a better dining room, break room, outdoor smoking slash vaping tent. Very nice place. In fact, they have these booths that have, these soundproof booths. I'd like to kind of get some of these for my office here. But we'll know in 5 to 7 days. And so if I have to delay stuff, if I have to delay the publication, I'm just going to have to delay it until my first paycheck. So it's no big deal. So what I might do, because it's already the 27th and I have October's issue 75% done, what I might do is just delay it until the end of October if I get the job. If I got the job, then I'll be able to order this in bulk. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it. And there's plenty of jobs here, plenty of opportunity, but for some reason, I had been, Tim, say they're going to hire you, thinking implies some level of doubt. Well, I don't know, because I had been hired 3 times at Walmart to be a cashier, and each time they canceled my training when something in my background check showed up. So, no, I don't know for sure. And I'm not a believer in, what is it called again? The secret. Like, whether or not I express doubt about it is immaterial. I don't think belief creates reality. It's not a one-to-one in that way. If it was, moon landings would be real. It's not that subjective. But I don't know. Again, I don't know what's on my background check. I haven't had time to look. Yeah, you can request a background check. I've been told that, but I've never had time to even investigate it. And I've asked people who've told me they can request a background check where they get that information from so that I could request one. And I haven't been able to get that information, but I should make it a priority. If this doesn't work out, I'll make it a priority. Although I had this idea for starting a small junk hauling business. We have a easy to access indoor dump in the middle of town here, and I have a truck, and I've seen a lot of these small companies, just all they do is they clean up yards, throw out junk, and I thought, that could be pretty easy. I used to haul bodies, and what's the difference between picking up a corpse, bagging it, and taking it to the reefer at the morgue, or going to somebody's backyard, emptying out a shed, and taking it to the dump? Same thing, less hazardous, no bloodborne pathogens, and I think I would make a good deal of money doing it, so I'm looking into it. Mazel says, you request it from the employer you applied to. I did request it from the company that Walmart used, and they never sent me anything. I requested it all 3 times. So someone suggested that maybe Goldfinch had some connections. Maybe he had some sort of connections or something else. I don't know. It could be a number of things, but I don't have any. I don't have any sort of like criminal background. There's nothing in my background that would inhibit me from being hired. I don't know. So yeah, it's just been kind of I don't know what we call this. Sort of like, I don't know. I don't want to be paranoid, but is it possible that somebody messed with my background check? Possibly. Goldfinch, maybe with his connections. I did request a Freedom of Information Act, all of the information the FBI has on me. I requested that last month, and I expect to have it before my first hearing suing Google/Goldfinch. And it's going to reveal if there's an open investigation. Elephant Tusk says, Tim, call your company Infinite Junk Society. It's funny you say that because a few years ago, I contacted this installation at White Sands, New Mexico's observatory that are monitoring some 30,000 pieces of space junk. And I said, I'd like to get into the space junk reclamation business. I have this idea for an orbiting space junk compactor that we would send out. We'd use electromagnetic plates to draw in the junk, and then we would compact it, and then blast it to the moon, like little bricks of metal to the moon, like raw building materials. And they said I couldn't get...
New Kofi shop sale from WOPR.
They said I couldn't get into the business of space junk reclamation because of all these regulations. As a civilian, it'd be very hard. And they said that if I touch, they said if my company touched a piece of Chinese space junk, it'd create an international situation, and it would create tensions. So you can't create an incident like that by just cleaning up junk. It doesn't work that way. But having said that, I could do a space junk reclamation company and just start down here on Earth. I mean, I'd like to have the artwork and the logo connected to like space junk. All right, thank you very much. WOPR. Appreciate that. Another shop sale. Nick Chama says, my wife is a senior manager at Walmart's home office in Bentonville. HR is pretty much a completely different company than Walmart. Yeah, they outsource it. They outsource it. And I've been aware of this for some time, that they outsource it. I used to work for the company. So that's what kind of struck me as unusual is I worked for the company. I left on good terms. I was doing a part-time gig as, I called it assisted checkout, because at the time, nobody could figure it out. It was like, it's not even self-checkout. And I was kind of annoyed at this job because I was just privy to how many people just shoplift, just watching people steal and steal and steal. It's like, wow. Okay, let's move on. We got sidetracked. I had a lot of things earmarked in my Twitter feed. This thing with Elon Musk is a big deal. This is big. Ryan Routh and Joe Biden. Again, if you haven't seen this juxtaposition, this was put up there by Synchromorpheus. Does anybody here not see it? Does anybody here not see Joe Biden's face on the shooter? Ted Stryker says anything can be called space junk. Call the local news and tell them, yeah, a broken blender. I was going to say that as a PR stunt. Like, let's say I started a junk hauling business. I would find like a vacuum cleaner, just take some parts out of it, get a shovel, dig a little hole, throw it in there, call the news and say, look what I found, space junk. And their jaws would drop. They would promote it. It would go viral. It'd be all over the news. Like this junk hauling company called Infinite Junk Society found some space junk in New Mexico. And I'll say, I think it came from Elon Musk. That guy's a problem. Huge problem. He needs to be stopped. And the promotion would probably get me a lot of business. I would do a psyop, like basically a promotional, a PR stunt. And I've wanted to do space junk art for a long time. I've had this concept for doing an art show, but it's all just space junk. Who's to say it's not? I could show you a charcoal brisket and say it's a meteor. This came from space. And the news media, they don't have any sort of standards of evidence when it comes to stuff from space. So I agree with you, a broken blender. Did you all see that picture of the engine from one of Musk's rockets just floating in the ocean there? Check it. It's called the Starship Super Heavy Booster. It probably has 33 engines on it, or 42. It's always one of the two. But I posted a reply of these tentacles from a kraken pulling people off a boat. Does that not look like the tentacle of a kraken? And is that a coincidence? Is this apophenia, or do you see it too? It looks exactly like a big fat tentacle. Big old octopus tentacle, kraken. Elephant Tusk says, PsyOps is good for business. No such thing as bad publicity. Diana South says, infinite selvage. Eccentric Views, you got to make those space junk helmets and sell them on eBay. Yeah, where are the helmet Karens? It didn't take them long to mask up. Why is it taking these people so long to helmet up? And if you believe in moon landings and you're not wearing a space junk helmet, what's wrong with you? Like, you're the ones who believe in this stuff. That's your thing. That's your belief system. You believe in space junk, you should be wearing a damn helmet. Your helmet protects me. Howard Boyd is a troll spam account. I don't think he's troll spam. I just think he likes all caps. I'm aware of his emojis and they seem legit. I don't know. Maybe we should have him call in. Howard Boyce, do you want to call in? I'll open up phones. 505 510 4226. And I'm 100% looking forward to this job. It's not going to change this, just so you know. The way the scheduling works, you have regimented breaks, lunch, and the hours are simple. And I'm sitting down in a very comfortable chair, talking to people calmly, just, setting up new accounts. I listened in on several calls today. One person had left town before his phone arrived, so he wanted to cancel that and activate a phone in the store he was at. Very simple stuff. Another person called in because they wanted to transfer the primary user on the account to somebody else, but they couldn't grandfather in the old plan. So these are very simple. These aren't angry customers. These are simple requests. So in between taking calls, I'll be checking my Gilded, I'll be checking my Discord and Twitter feeds. During lunch, I'll probably be engaged in some conversation, and we'll be live every single evening. No issues. Eccentric View says, your helmet protects me. Yeah, that's what they're going to say. If you're not wearing a helmet, you're somehow a threat to other people. They'll make it work. And this is an actual call center. It's just down the street. It's a call center with a nice break room. They had foosball, Pac-Man, one of those basketball games, and then there was a dining room. They have free oranges and apples. I was given the grand tour. I think they even had a room with treadmills, but they make it very comfortable. And it seemed to be underpopulated. Most call centers like that I've worked at were usually just brimming with people, and it didn't seem like that. It didn't seem like it was even a quarter of the way full. So I kind of think it's going to be easy. Slick Rick says Simon believes in the globe theory. Which Simon are you talking about? Now, Howard Boyd, if you want to call in, the number is there. And anyone can call in. I'm just leaving it open for Howard Boyd. Somebody suggested he might be a bot. Prove you're not a bot. Nicotrama says, no, this is not a mindless job. I think that, I would say being a cashier, yeah, you can be somewhere else mentally. You don't have to be there, but you do have to be present at call centers, and they reward performance. Apparently, the only people allowed in the really nice break room are top tier performers. So I like the incentives. Something else too, you get major discounts on phones, on internet service, which could definitely help out. Yeah, I'll have to check the foosballs to see if there's a blood spot on the Trump ones, the Trump characters. But look, ultimately, we're talking about we're a niche. This is like not a really big group of people, and so there's not a lot of money in auto hoaxing, in media deconstruction. If I was on here barking about chemtrails and geoengineering and immigrants, there'd be a lot more money here. I heard you can get $100,000 a week making these claims, talking about Haitians eating cats from some company out of Russia. I had to contact it. I think it's Tenet. I should contact Tenet. Like, hey, look, I'll plug your propaganda. I'll push Putin. $100,000 a week. Like, none of you will fall for it, so I don't think it would hurt our show. It won't hurt the integrity of our messaging here. Maybe I should just find some sponsors. Number is 505-510-4226. I'll put the number on the screen for you. Okay, and things are better though financially. I would say we're monetized. Things are a lot better than they had been. Things were a lot more difficult about 2 years ago. Now we're actually in the position. We're just a few weeks away from publishing a tabloid with a built-in subscribership. Easily, I think we're going to cross 100. Okay, number is 505-510-4226. I'm trying to find the thing on the screen, but I can't find it for you right now. I'll just type it in. Nicotrama says, if you faked being political and backed Trump, you'd probably be rich right now. Yeah, I know that is probably true as well. And I remember there was a point where I was going to start losing people, and I had a friend who was a big Trumper and then became a QAnoner. And one day they contacted me and said, would you stop criticizing Trump? I'm like, really? He just put a mask on. He didn't stand up to this obvious global psyop. I don't think I have anything in common with this guy because he's either one of two things. He's either a dupe, and I'm not going to follow a fool, or he's an agent and a part of it. Infinite Plane Radio.
Hey, Timmy, what's going on, brother? I'm giving you a ring to let your followers know who think I'm trolling. I follow you since 2020.
Oh yeah,
You understand?
yeah.
And I'm more of a listener. So I don't do listening and bullshit with people who's doing great work. You do great work. So when I say good job, Timmy, it's all love. But the thing is, Timmy, is that Jurastics, he believe in the truth of the real Jesus Christ. And that's a topic that people want to step into according to understanding the book, but then people don't understand the book. You respect the book. I've been following you and I fucks with you since 2020. You do great work. So everybody who's listening, Howard Boyd isn't a troll. That's not even that's my slave name. So understand that. So Timmy, when you see my name and you giving me a wrench without even making comment on your great work, because the work that you speak about is really connected to the Bible, to the truth of Christ. But you'll get there. Don't worry about all that.
Right. Well,
I love you. All right. You good. You good. So go ahead. I called in because they think I'm a troll, but I just from 2020, take off your mask and all those things. The spirit world is celestial. It's celestial, but the celestial gate of where we are, it's a firmament, and it is all the things that you speak about. You want a dime, brother. It's just, the book is alive. So when Jurassic talks to you about all these things and you guys do that great work through your conversation and topics, all right, I just wanted to call in because it got truly misunderstood. I support you, all right?
Hey,
Christ going to save you.
thank you. And
Yeah.
I want to say too, I never picked up troll vibes from you. I have a pretty good intuition.
Thank
However,
you.
the crowd here is obviously very protective of what we're doing.
I know. Amen. And I respect them. I understand that, Timmy. I'm sorry. You for sure. Continue.
But anyway, no, I always appreciate your comments, all caps.
Absolutely.
I used to do all caps.
Absolutely.
I was all caps for the longest
Absolutely.
time.
I know. And that's just the world. Deal with it. Not saying you, but deal with it when it comes to just us being what's going on. Because it's going to get fixed. It's going to get fixed. The celestial world and all of what. Jurassic's my guy, and he believes in Christ. You all right? The book is alive, everybody. So if your ears are open, trust me, the paranormal of the phenomenon will appear above your heads. It will come into full effect in real time. All right? So Mr. Howard Boyd, that's my slave name, everybody. You don't want to know my Israelite name. And I love Timmy. That's my brother. You my brother from the book, and Christ is going to save you, man. You're doing a great job, all right? And nobody's a bot.
Hey, I
all right?
appreciate
I don't even know how to operate the damn what's the tool? What is it called? The damn the wrench. I don't even get on it. I work for a living. I respect you. I'm into what's going on to the current affairs, and the truth is, and what's going on, what's really popping. But you gotta understand the book. The book is alive. Trust me. So go ahead, Timmy.
Okay,
well, and I'm gonna leave you alone, and I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead. Go ahead, buddy.
I always like hearing from longtime listeners, first time callers.
Amen.
It's always awesome.
Amen.
I mean, 4 years that you've been on this.
Yes, sir.
And it's not a small
yes,
thing.
Sir.
I don't think I can overstate the significance of what we're a part of, and I'm just talking about it from the philosophical and the political side. Not to mention, there's got to be underlying, deeper levels to this. There's many veils.
That's right.
So glad to have you on board.
Brother.
Thank you I'm happy to have you here, and thank you for calling. And feel free to.
I wanted to let you know that when you see my name, it's the support, man, and the Most High is with you, man. All right, you understand a lot of things, and it's many like us. It's remnants. So this deliverance is going to really happen. All right. So to the future. All right. To the future. This is real rap. So for those who want to assume, don't look like a jackass if you don't have a thought according to the truth of the gospel. All right. Because Christ is going to annihilate those who have done this in this planet. All right. So get ready. All right. All right. And Timmy, to the future. I'll be in touch though. I'll be in touch. Okay.
All right. I'll see you in the comments. I'll see you in the comments. Keep on.
Yes, sir. And consistent love and support, man. Can continue the good work, Timmy, and to the future. All right. Shalom. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate the call.
Amen. All right, Timmy. To the future, brother. Amen.
Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate you taking the time out of your night to show that you are real, and very active part of the chat. Always appreciate people's comments. Piano and Dante says, cheers, Tim. Listening for now. 360 Pick says, take it back, Howie. Diana South says, I don't agree with Jurassic's eschatology. He seems, it's to me, what he has picked up on are some threads that we're also examining, and we're looking at the same chaos. We're looking at the same puzzle, the same conundrums. There's some overlapping here, and it points to a higher order. And to what do you ascribe this higher order, this level of organization, what I'm calling the entrainment between the subconscious of the masses, our collective psyche, and the history that they perform in front of us as, quote, news. Yep, they use news media. Of course, they report stuff. Sometimes they tell the truth. Like good liars tell the truth 99% of the time. So you trust them. So you outsource your perceptions to them. Then they can lie strategically and get away with it. So the news media is only pretending to be news, and they perform that function, but even then, it's within a curated worldview. But at any time, they can replace what's on the news with something simulated. And we're talking about decades and decades and decades of billions of all of us, collectively. We have been subject to simulations superimposed over reality, and that has an effect. It has it's called a hyperstition. It's like a superstition, but unlike superstitions, you might say, I believe in, like Roseanne believes in vampires. Well, it's kind of superstitious, but it doesn't get reinforced. Nobody's saying, yeah, that's true. There's no evidence to support it. By contrast, hyperstitions are reinforced by the system. Infinite Plane Radio.
Hey, dude, this is Jurassic.
Hey, what's up? One of your listeners just called in. Did you catch that?
Oh no, I just came in. I just saw that you were live.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I just had a conversation with Howard Boyd. He's a commenter in here, and he listens to a lot of your. Well, he's commented on yours. He mentioned you. So, anyway.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, I appreciate that, Howard. Whoever that is, but yeah, I appreciate it.
Hey, did you see this on the screen? This is Elon Musk's rocket, one of his big old rocket things. This is, I guess it's called the Starship Super Heavy Booster. And it's being pulled out of the water. Does that not look like the tentacle of a kraken?
You know what? I didn't see it. Because I can't see the screen right now. Hold on, let me get my other phone here. Give me a second.
Hey, and I want to mention one thing. The other night you were talking about Elton John and how, from his birthday to 10/4 and how it has the 611 code in there. And I was just remembering, Elton John owns the photograph of the 9/11 falling man.
Yeah, that's a great catch. Because what is the point of that? You know what I mean? Because he's connected to the, first of all, when I say 10/4, 10/5 is actually the date that I'm talking about. But, 10/4 is kind of close. But 10/5 is the date that I'm talking about for the Rocket Man event.
Yes, and for him to own that photo is huge because the same photographer, Richard Drew, is the guy who photographed Robert F. Kennedy as he was falling to his death. Like, as he was falling, he got a photograph. So same photographer, both these photos, 9/11 falling man and the assassination of RFK. So, that's another clue here. The fact that he would own that photo.
That guy's still alive, too, I think. The guy who took those pictures, because I had looked it up because I heard you talk about it the other day.
Right, right. And a minute ago, well, when I started, we were actually talking about someone mentioned Eliphas Levi, the creator of the Baphomet. And I was talking about how the Church of Satan has the Baphomet with Leviathan written around it. And they pray to the west, to the beast of the sea, this Leviathan thing. And someone had asked me if there's a connection between the name Eliphas Levi and Elvis. And so I got to just
Actually mentioned that. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so I was kind of like, that's where I brought you up. I'm like, well, you have this uh, pretty long breakdown of Elvis and his connection to the sea and the specific relation here of the name Levi. So anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, when you talking about that Levi guy, yeah, that's the first thing I thought about was his name. Sounds just like Elvis, and the whole thing. And then the fact that I think you've talked about this before about the Leviathan and Anton LaVey having the connection to him.
Right, right.
I mean, the
Anton
name,
LaVey,
yeah,
LaVey Anton, or Leviathan. There's like this anagram built into it.
right.
And they specifically face the west. And there's something else with him too. It has to do with the sea from Rosemary's Baby. But again, yeah, there is something there. The Levi,
Yeah,
Leviathan,
and
Elvis.
Leviathan is the beast out of the sea, right? And also, you know what else is the beast out of the sea is that the Loch Ness monster,
Yes,
and you know what they were naming that, right? They named it Nessie.
I recall.
That was the nick.
Like
Yeah,
Loch
yeah,
Ness,
and
Nessie.
they were calling it Nessie. That's the nickname for the Loch Ness monster. And Nessie is like Tennessee. It's the same letters. You just add the te at the front. It's Tennessee, Nessie.
Oh,
And
okay, okay, okay.
yeah, 'cause Elvis lived and died in Tennessee. But yeah, he's definitely the beast out of the sea. But here's the thing: with the connection with Anton LaVey, wasn't he the founder of the Church of Satan?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and this, not that we've already talked about this, but the fact that Elvis has two Illuminati cards already tells you who he is. I mean, we talked about the cards. If you want to bring that up and talk about it, it's incredible what you're seeing
Yeah,
in those
let me bring those
Illuminati
up.
cards.
Let me bring them up. The Illuminati playing cards with Elvis. And by the way, did you see the Hurricane Helen? How it puts the X mark right there on the side of Florida. And someone in my chat had pointed out that, it looks like, Florida looks like a silhouette of Trump's hair. And the way they
Right.
overlaid the hurricane, it looked like the head wound on the side of Trump. But
Yeah, and that's happened how many times now? Those hurricanes, you know what I mean, going through Florida, right?
yep.
You know, it's not a coincidence that Trump lives there where it looks like his head.
Okay, I found the two Illuminati playing cards with Elvis. This is interesting. So you have the Church of Elvis. Are you kidding me? The Church of Elvis. And he's praying at a guitar. Now that's interesting.
Yeah, but do you see what it looks like? See, that's the real thing you got to look at is the um so let me see what you're looking at right now. Hold on.
Now I want to bring
Yeah,
up.
so
Okay, one more thing here. In Stranger Things, I found
mhm.
some connections to the Trump head wound stuff, going back to. I mean, it connects in multiple ways. But Stranger Things, the main character's name is Elle, because she's the 11th, and at the very
Mhm.
end, she has to levitate this capsule. And I remember there was some kind of connection with Elle and the levitation. So even the name Levy or Leviathan has some connection here. But anyway, kind of a side note. I'll bring up some of these connections later. But this Church of Elvis image I'm looking at is one where it's got the woman praying at a guitar.
Right. And notice that it's a portal what you're looking at.
Right. Okay.
It's a portal, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
notice that the guitar is in the shape. If you look at the neck, the neck looks like the number 1 and the body looks like the number 8. And Elvis and his identical twin were both born on 1/8, right?
Yeah, that's actually pretty obvious there. I see it. It's clear. 1-8.
Right. Yeah. And the back of you notice it looks like it's got two eights, one in the back, one in the front. Do you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
okay, the 88, and when I mentioned the thing about
Right.
the hurricane over his head on the Florida thing, interestingly,
Mhm.
it has 88 on the map here on the picture. This was pointed out, so I have a few images of it. But yeah,
Well,
there's 88 associated with it, and I was like, that's
well,
interesting.
yeah. Let me just, yeah, but just stay on the picture with the girl. I mean, the when you go back to that, stay on. Let me know. Let me see
Yeah,
when you
I'm
get
there.
back
And
to
yeah, I
that.
see. So if anyone is looking, the guitar creates an 88 kind of overlapping.
Yeah, because I want to show. No, because I'm kind of looking at the screen. That's why I'm kind of distracted. Um, I, I want you to go back to that one picture of the woman. So so basically, you're seeing a portal, and notice the hand. If that was a clock, what would the hand be on? Technically, it would be looking like it was on. Where would the body of the guitar be if that was a clock? It would be on the 6 and the 11.
Yeah,
In between 11 and 12, right?
yeah,
So there's your 6-11 connection. And look at the weird image of this thing under the guitar that looks like Elvis's face coming out of the guitar. Under, if you look at the under the guitar,
yeah, yeah.
there's this weird image.
Yeah, I see that. The way that they it creates a silhouette. There's a silhouette there built into it.
Yeah, like if it's water or something, like like it's a water image of Elvis. You know how like you would see yourself in water.
Yeah, yeah, kind of a ripply
Yeah,
reflection. It's definitely there, like it's
right.
like a ripple going through water, like his reflection
Yeah,
on
so
a pond or something. And you throw a rock in there, it looks kind of ripply.
yeah, so this creature is worshiping Elvis, you know, and the Church of Elvis represents Church of Satan. They're saying, and also the fact that it's a yellow brick road. Is that yellow? Because I can't. My eyes are
It
bad.
is yellow. It is
Is that?
yellow.
Yeah.
And there's
So
a
there's your
yellow brick road, Seattle. Seattle's
there's your Elton John connection. Okay. And did you know that Elton John, that song Yellow Brick Road, right? It was called Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Okay. And his final tour was called Farewell Yellow Brick Road.
I had not heard that. And for people who don't know, Seattle's called the Emerald City.
Right. And that was the Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
So Seattle, Emerald City, Yellow Brick Road. And yeah, the Elton John thing is just this Rocket Man stuff is interesting. And you
And,
found some
right. And Yellow Brick Road, the song was released on 10/5, the day I'm telling you that the Rocket Man event might
oh,
happen.
okay. Now that's intriguing because there's this
Right.
group called World Order, and they released a song on 3/11, 2018, and it was called "Let's Start World War III," and they filmed it in Seattle, and they're walking on yellow roads in Seattle, and at one point they're all pretending to be Trump, and they all fall on their backs like they've been shot, and it's called "Let's Start World War III," and the video is just chock full of symbolism, but it makes the connections with Trump, an assassination attempt or a shooting, a successful one it seems, and then it has the all the Emerald City connections. But Let's Start World War III released on a 3/11 of all dates, and there was a conversation we had yesterday. Let me see if I can find that. I'm going through some comments as well, but yeah, this is it too. Elvis, it happened at the World's Fair. Was filmed in Seattle. The Space Needle was built 1 year before it in 1962. Anyway, this Church of Elvis thing, interesting find.
Okay. Yeah. And then the other card. Oh, well, hold on 1 second. On this card, can you read what it says? Because I can't read it right now, but usually I have it up
It
there.
says he isn't dead. I saw him last week at the. I'll have to find a better image of it. Something praise Elvis.
Yeah, it says praise Elvis, and then but then it says player of this group becomes four. I don't know. I can't read that. If they play an 8, it says 4 and 8. That's Trump. Trump's gonna get his head one on 8-4. I said. Does that say 8-4?
Yeah, it says if Elvis is in play or 8 if you control him. It's kind of blurry, but I can kind of read it here.
I think it says 4 and 8, right?
It does. It's specific.
Okay.
Okay, okay, there you go. It specifically says 4 and 8. Yes, yes.
Now go to the other card. Now go to the other card.
Okay, this one says
The
Elvis, and he's pointing at an exit sign.
Yeah, and notice. Oh, I'm waiting for it to come up on my screen. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, it's a little
Um,
behind, but it's about to pop up.
yeah. So on that one, notice you have the emerald green, and it's like, isn't it? Is that what would you call that, emerald green?
Yeah,
Like
yes, definitely. His shirt is emerald green.
not emerald, but something is green. A lot of green in it, and notice that um, the doors have. Well, I don't want to get into the PP stuff. Push, push is the PP, and Bush sounds like push. Bush is Bush equals June in gematria. Bush was the 9/11 president. But uh, also notice on the trash can, it's kind of blurry, but it says trash, but it can also look like it says ash, ASH, or like Washington, or Phoenix from the ashes, and
Yes, yes.
it's got a half a Twinkie on it, so it's like half-eaten Twinkies, basically, because Elvis was a twin. And in the movie Zombieland, uh, it was they were talking about Twinkies in that movie, and it was all about Elvis. That whole Zombieland 1 and 2. But real quick, notice the glasses on top of the trash can. The
Yes, yes.
the word, that's Elvis's glasses, and the word glasses is exact match in gematria, all the numbers to the word Seattle. So they're basically telling you that Seattle's going to be it's going to be like it's going to get swallowed up. That's what they're saying. See, you see how it looks like a mouth, the trash can?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it looks like. I see that now.
it's going to be swallowed up.
Washington swallowed up. There's like a hole, like. Okay, now I was talking about the Kraken because
Uh-huh.
one of the themes has been the Seattle Kraken, but the word crack, like the Seattle fault line, the crack in Seattle. And in this Stranger Things, which has so many connections to this whole thing, there's this Demogorgon, which is sort of a kraken-like creature that Russia sends, and then you have a crack in Hawkville, which I think is Seattle, and it means like it's a fault line, so it opens up, and then hellfire comes out, and it basically symbolizes, I think, the fallout from a nuclear blast. So at the end of that season, you have this nuking of Seattle, but this is also 4/8. And this is the episode where Matthew Modine's character gets shot by an AK-47. Matthew Modine is Joker in Full Metal Jacket, who represents JFK. And this is where I started looking at Trump's hat, and I said, where that 45 is where they're going to shoot him, because that's where the target was on Matthew Modine's character back then. But again, 4/8, that's the episode number where he shot. So you got the 8-4 thing. It mirrors so many other movies, like I mentioned, where it's the same 4/8 code. But just pointing it out here, definitely.
No, that's a great connection. But just real quick on that last card, if you read the comment, I don't know if you could read the card. It says something about the media can use it to distract or something like that.
Yeah, it says Elvis has the power to distract any media group by making a brief public appearance. By using this action, he can cancel any action by any media group. Elvis also has something for the Church of Elvis.
Yeah, see, it's connecting it to the other card,
And then it says Elvis has left the building.
Does it have a number 6 on that card somewhere?
Yeah, it does. It says he has 6
for
direct control.
So notice that it's got the 6, and then what do you got underneath? What are the two numbers? 1-1, that's 6/11, and then 6/14 is Trump's birthday. Because that's what I was telling you guys. It's all about the 6/11 to the 6/14. There's a connection to all of that because Trump's birthday is 6/14, but 6/11 is the date Washington State gets struck. But anyway, just real quick before I forget, I'm gonna go off a little bit off this for a second. That Denver airport, that
Sure.
Blucifer,
The blue horse.
the
Yes.
Blucifer, yeah,
Yes.
it's called Blucifer, right? And do you know that the creator of Blucifer?
No, I never looked into it. The artist is Luis Jimenez, an American
Yeah, it's
sculptor.
Luis Jimenez. Yeah. Do you know how he died?
No, how did he die?
that sculpture fell on him
What the
and
heck?
killed him.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay, now is this might be the same artist? There was an artist here who built these sculptures at UNM, and one of them fell on him and killed him. I wonder,
I think that was it, probably.
probably okay. 32-foot blue Mustang should have just gone 33. Yeah, this is the same guy. Okay, I remember hearing about this. I didn't know
Yeah,
this was the guy. I've seen some of his
yeah.
other statues here, so I'm familiar with his work. I didn't know he did Lucifer, but it does say here that it fell on him. That's crazy.
Well, do you know why I bring this up? Because see, when Lucifer was in heaven, uh, he was going against God, right? So, and that's why he got kicked out and became Satan. So who wants to kill God? It's Lucifer, who's Satan. Let's just say his adversary, Satan. But so who wants to kill God is Lucifer, right? So basically, Lucifer is killing his creator. Do you get it? With the Lucifer's
Okay,
Mustang
yes,
killing the creator. That's the mockery of it. That's what I'm trying to make you understand.
fascinating. Yeah, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying there, and this is kind of interesting because in Stranger Things, which I just brought up a minute ago, one of the ending parts of it, because the girl's name is 11, because she's the 11th in this group, but number one, the first created one, is the antagonist in this whole thing. But interestingly enough, so you have this first created character, number one, and she has to kill him. In real life, Audrey Hale looks just like Elle, and she's the one who shot up that school at it's called the Covenant School, and they said that she went into the chapel because it was like a Christian school, and she shot Adam on the stained glass window. So she killed the first created man, and I thought that's fascinating. In the show, 11 kills number one, and her real world mass shooter counterpart kills Adam by shooting him out before she goes and kills the kids.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you hear about the shooter's son being arrested?
For CP, just yeah, I just heard about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see what he looks like? He because I always say, how I don't know if you've been, I mean, what you know about what I say on sometimes, but I always say that all these supposed shooters look like they're in transition mode, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I think I do. I looked at this guy and I said, that's just looking at his picture is all I needed for probable cause to search his computer. He looked like what he's supposedly guilty of. And that's not the first time. The Vegas shooter's brother was also arrested for the same thing. And I want to get your take on this. On the screen, it's going to show up for you in a moment. It's a side by side picture of the second shooter, this Ryan Routh. And I still think I think Ryan and Iran. I think there's some kind of phonetic anagram there, but it's like Iran's being brought up right now, threatening Trump. But look at his face and tell me it doesn't look like a deep fake superimposition of Biden's face.
You know what? I saw this on your yesterday's show. It's absolutely his face. It looks like it's exactly the same almost, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's the same freaking face. What
yeah,
a joke.
and did you see how when they lifted his shirt, he looked like he had breath?
Yeah, that was very strange. Speaking of Baphomet, the shooter had is a pink shirt as well, which is also significant here because he was wearing a white shirt with a red cross on it, and then pink. And pink ties into
Yeah,
Barbie. It ties into the Godzilla thing. The color
yeah.
symbolism very
Look,
significant.
look, man. I've been saying this about all these supposed shooters. They all look like they're in transition mode. What I'm trying to say is, like, that's how they get lost in the shuffle. They're in transition mode because these surgeries cost like $150,000 or something, right? To do.
Right. Well,
So
they're
I'm just saying. So
they're
because that's how they probably give it away. They use them in these stories, or they're already in jail. These people, and they use them. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
sort of like, in other words, you're suggesting that they're chosen for these specific characteristics for these roles, kind of like Utopia. All the crisis actors are like a special group of people on a different island that don't interact with mainstream society. So it's like, are we looking at a group of a demographic that's specifically recruited for this? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's
that's what
it's
I've been saying for years. Ever since I saw the very first one, they all look the same. These people, they all have that same vibe that you can't tell whether they're a dude or a girl. I mean, it's just something weird about them. They have the feminine vibe, and then if it's a girl shooter, it looks like it's a masculine vibe. You know what I mean? It's just weird. There's something going on. Obviously, I mean, we're not stupid, because what we think about these stories.
well,
About
outside of like identity politics and how it's talked about today, in mainstream society, underlying this, you have the alchemical symbolism. We talk about black, white, and the color symbolism, and the Baphomet represents it's actually like it's hermaphroditic, and the alchemy of the symbolism, the sun and the moon, and the conjunction. Yeah, there's a lot of this. Um, Stuff where gender is specifically a type of symbol. And I was told by some Crowley cultists that as the age of Osiris ends, they're going to bring in the new sun, who is Horus, that is a combination of Isis and Osiris. So I was told that the new god of the world was going to be an androgen. And I already connected that to like David Bowie's character, Ziggy Stardust, and this new paradigm. So none of this shocks me, and it wouldn't surprise me if you've picked up on something.
Well, let me just say, because someone's asking me to bring this up, because everybody talks about Elvis. I'm not saying Elvis is the girl, but Elvis's body had some weird stuff to it. But I'm going to say this, that his head is a dude. All right. There's no way that that's a woman's head. All right. And his hand is a man's hand. But I will say this, that all types of people love Elvis, even the alphabets and the transistors, if you know what I'm saying. So, do you get what I'm trying to say here?
Elvis is. I don't think Elvis is a woman. I actually think a lot of those people who think everybody is the opposite, if they're on TV, they're obviously been fed some misinformation. But Elvis is definitely an embodiment of something. And the symbols attached to them convey a very specific message and have from the beginning. It's the man who fell to earth. It's Satan. It's Lucifer in a way. There's a number of elements. The Phoenix thing is huge. All the Christ stuff, and all of this stuff was reiterated in that Elvis movie, like from beginning to end. All the symbols you talk about, like you've mentioned, his association with the Space Needle and the needle itself, and the movie starts off with a Space Needle-like scene. You have the International Hotel, the three pillars with the Starship Enterprise on top of it, and then it cuts to Elvis in purple, royal colors, passed out on the ground, and they bring out a needle to resurrect him so he can perform. Like, this is all stuff that you talked about long before the Elvis movie came out. So when I watched the Elvis movie, I had in mind many of the things that you had said about the body of symbols surrounding Elvis. And you had also mentioned that there's something about him and the Space Needle. And, you talked about these things, and then I'm like, wait, I'm watching this movie, and I'm literally seeing everything that you had talked about, like in a montage.
Yeah, everything is connected to that needle, man. It's whatever it is, it's super important, the whole this injection thing. I mean, I'm assuming I guess it's connected to, because people try to bring it to some kind of mythology stuff with the Osiris's penis or something. I don't know what the hell.
Well, yeah,
but
there's absolutely that. That's a huge part of it. It is like the rocket. You say Rocket Man. So the rocket, the Space Needle, the needle. These are all part of the same body of symbols, and the Rocket Man stuff is hugely significant. That's why it's a big deal in this, that they send David Bowie to space on a rocket.
Okay, just real quick before I forget, because I know someone wants to call in, so I need to end this conversation. But check this out. The whole thing about the picture is the needle. So when you see a picture on the mound, that's the Space Needle. It's the needle. It's the man on the mountain. And the picture is the number one spot. So it's telling you that the needle is the picture. So that's why the picture is a very important thing. That's why you had that picture ritual with the 45 fallen angel, the picture that I always talk to you about.
Yes.
The Tyler Skaggs, who wore the number 45, and who was outside the Big A Stadium, because That's the Space Needle connection. The real quick, I was talking about this Otani years ago. This Shohei Otani. Do you know who he is?
No, no, no. I'll look him up.
You don't know who that is?
I don't think I do.
The baseball player, the most famous baseball player right now.
I remember you mentioned before. Okay, here it is. Otani,
Yeah, and
Dodgers.
yeah, he's big time right now. This guy is like, on fire. He's I don't, I hate sports. I don't pay any attention to it, but it's whatever's on the news, I'll hear it. But I told you that his name is like Ohio, which I was telling years ago to everybody, and he wears the number 17. See, because Ohio's the 17th state, and Trump, I told you, is connected to all that.
Okay, it says here on MLB.com is a triple crown within reach for Otani. And for those who don't remember, in 2020, just really quick here, BLM, MLB. In the summer of 2020, all of MLB were wearing 42s for Jackie Robinson, Mr. 42, played by Chadwick Boseman, who died at 42. The same time, the NBA was wearing 42 for Kobe Bryant, whose 42nd birthday they were celebrating for Mamba Week. So I'm just pointing it out here. It reminds me about how much all these sports they're all co-opted for this stuff.
That's the only number I think that's retired in baseball that nobody else can wear is the number 42.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, and check this out. The June 11th is the 162nd day of the year, right?
Right.
And guess how many baseball games? 162. So
fascinating. That's the 162, the 216, all of this stuff is very consistent. So for people who aren't up to speed on this stuff, you mentioned these things, you describe what you're pointing out, these various numbers, these symbols, and these things continue to be consistent, internally consistent into the future. And to me, it's amazing that I can point to two very popular TV shows, same season number, same episode, same underlying message, and it connects to the same exact story, down to the actors, down to the symbols, and it's like it's so nuanced. I mean, Trump getting shot at 6/11 seals it. So anybody who's listening to you should really actually pay attention because you've picked up on something.
Yeah, and don't forget, not only did he get shot at 6/11, the time then he's going back there 84, 85 days later, and I'm telling you, he's going to get shot on 8/4. And 10/4, 10/5 is 8485 on the Roman calendar. 10/4,
Yes.
10/5 is 8485.
Yeah,
and
yes, exactly.
And between 7/13, the day he got his ear nicked, to 10/5 when he's going back to Butler, Pennsylvania, it's 84, 85 days. It's ridiculous. It's all connected, man. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go because these people in your chat hate me.
Well, let me add one more thing here because this is big.
Go ahead.
So Matthew Modine's character from Stranger Things was Joker. That was his nickname, and he represents JFK. So you have the Joker connection. Then the Joker kills Robert De Niro in the Joker movie. Well, De Niro represents Trump in Machete and in a few other instances. So you have these two connections, and then Trump is going to Aurora, where you had the Joker shooter with the orange hair. And then this last shooter, the one that we were just talking about with the yellow and blue hair, he was laughing in court like the Joker. And then finally, the Joker 2 comes out on 10/4, but when it was being filmed on 4/4 outside the Trump courthouse, the public driving by thought that the mob assembled to get the Joker were there for Trump. So you see all this stuff is lining up with 10/4 and this underlying theme of the shooter.
Yeah, and your great catch with that Beetlejuice thing with Trump in there with the head wound. That's a good one too.
Oh yeah. Someone wanted you to comment on that, and that is another thing too. Beetlejuice 2, Joker 2, second shooter, and Beetlejuice has got green hair, another Joker archetype. So they've been putting it out there. And this guy that looks like Trump even has an American flag lapel pin. So that's, to me, that's definitely Trump.
Yeah, definitely. All right, bro. We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the information.
All
Have
right.
a good
Take
night.
care.
All right. Let's see. No Hate Mate says etheric bliss. Yeah. Whatever you think about his conclusions, he's pretty transparent in all of it. But all of these comments, all of these little data points matter. You can't just dismiss it. I don't care if he's not a biblical mainstreamer. The reason why I eschew religion is that religious people are always just at each other's throats. Infinite Plane Radio.
Comment. All these little data points matter. You can't just dismiss it.
You have to mute your speaker.
Yeah.
A biblical.
Is this Esteban?
Oh, I'm on.
Yes.
Yo,
you're
how
on.
are you?
Hey, good to hear from you. And you said to put something on the screen. You said to put
Vitaly Capri.
Okay, what's up
Vitaly
with this?
Capri. He's a keyboard player for Trans-Siberian Orchestra. First and foremost, it's an honor to talk to you and say hi to the chat. I consider this group the elite. When it comes to reasoning with the nutty stuff that we see in the world, I mean, yeah, we all went through the Quantum of Conscious, the Richie from Boston and stuff. But when I listen to you, you're amazing, man. That what you have done. I don't know why I haven't bumped into you before. I heard about you before. That guy that flew in that rocket or something, and I was kind of turned off from that. But that was back in like 2020. But anyhow, you do a great show. So you want me to do my story? I talk real fast. I can shoot right through this.
Yeah, please. And thank you for calling. First of all, I appreciate always first-time callers.
Yeah.
And yeah, honestly, this is the cutting fringe. I think we are assembling the right frame of mind is what connects us all with the right people. And I think we're approaching this in the right way, and we're getting. I think we're making a lot of progress. We're learning how to.
And you have to think of it like this: the 100th monkey theory. The 100th monkey. I don't understand the way anything works in this world, but as I notice, when one person starts to get it, other people start to get it. It's like in UFC, as a wrestler becomes a better fighter, the strikers have to change their game. It's always a upgrading that has to take place. So. With my story, this would go. So when you have a spiritual experience, it changes your life completely. When you realize there's more to what you see with physical eyes, it's a game changer. So let me tell you my story. Growing up, had a kind of a troubled life, whatever, was put on ADD medication, this and that. When I turned 18, 17, I realized if you take a bunch of these pills, you could really have a good time. And I got fucked up on these pills for a while. And one day when I was screwed up on this medication, I said, just for the hell of it, after watching the movie Crossroads, I called out to the dark side, right? And I said, so-and-so, you give me this, I'll give you that. Nothing happened, right? 10 years on my left and by. This was probably 2020, 2021, okay? Now, mind you, I'm from the Lehigh Valley area of Pennsylvania. So in 2009, I live in the West Reading area of PA. And I'm a musician there. I play in a band. And there's this guy that I meet through a friend at this bar. And he's this guy that you see in the screen, Vitaly Capri. Vitaly is a phenomenal keyboard player from Kiev, Ukraine. He's dead now. He died in February of a heart attack. But Vitaly, when I met him, he comes off as you see him on the screen as a gothy type of musician with the, the painted fingernails, like an 80s type of guy. Anyhow, when I meet this guy, I'm like starstruck, but like, you're with a famous musician, because Trans-Siberian Orchestra, even though I don't really care about that music, I know they're a big band around Christmas time. And it's just, cool to be around someone of that high caliber, especially when you see this guy play. I mean, he's phenomenal. Anyhow, I through meeting this guy, they came to pick me up the one day I needed a ride out from band practice, and this is the first day I met Vitaly. Nothing weird about him, but then I started to notice he wears this coat, right? This jacket with 4 stars. The one star had the inverted pentagram, and that kind of stuck out to me because I noticed there's something different about it. And there's just the vibe you get about stuff when you have intuition. Your subconscious mind picks up on stuff, okay? And I was thinking, okay, so whatever. This thing is upside down. I noticed the pentagram thing. And then we're always listening to this fucking music. Bro, he plays a song by a set called, like, Too Late or something. It's a band, like, from Austria or something. ACCEPT. And it's something about it's too late. Always in the theme of the shit that he would talk to me, it's about, like, it's too late, like you made a deal, this and that. And it never struck out to me until the one day when he said this comment to my mother when she came home.
when she came to the house. We were out in the gazebo. My mother comes out back, and she's working for a company doing temporary work, and they want her to go full time. And they want her to, and he looks at me, not her. She said something about having to sign a contract. He looks at me, not her, and winks. He goes, sometimes you just got to sign the paper. Bro, I knew right then and there what the fuck this guy was talking about. And I was terrified because this was a build-up to this whole thing of me kind of being on edge with this.
So,
I think
so in
it's
other
so
words,
weird. At this
so in
time,
other words, you had a synchronicity where he answered a question that was ostensibly overtly answering her,
yeah,
but the subtext was directed at you.
bro, and I knew it, and he could feel the fear in me.
Now, let me
You
add
don't
something.
understand
Let
it.
me add
Yes,
so
sir.
people don't know, because I mean I have had many experiences where it seems like messaging, synchronistic messaging, comes through other people. Like you hear something, and it aligns. And I had this experience recently. It kind of relates to this, where I heard a name as I'm walking towards
Yeah.
this cliff. Somebody else said this name, and it turns out that that was the exact cliff where somebody I knew by that name had their ashes spread, and I didn't
Yeah,
know it at the
weird.
time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that person had been momentarily become a
Mhm.
vehicle to convey something to me personally, and it was, and this was verified for me later. So here you are, you're saying you're he mentions
Yeah.
contract, and he says it to you in a knowing way.
He winked at me when he said it. He didn't look at my mother. He looked at me. And I know what I said back in 2000 because that sticks with you. You never forget that. When you meet somebody that's a famous musician and you know about, making deals and this and that, that's on the back burner of your mind. Because I never forgot what I said. So here I'm with a famous musician, and that's kind of, and that's a thought of me, like, but it never stuck out. Like it didn't happen until the day when he made that comment. So we'll dig this. When he made that comment, I still ended up hanging out with the guy. But at that time in my life, I think I was into the Simon Shack stuff. No, I was early. Simon Shack was 2011 and 13. I was at that time, man. What the hell was I into? Um, the 9/11 stuff, but all the basic shit that we have been brainwashed and all that. But then spiritual subjects came to me heavy when this happened with this guy. And naturally, because if you made a deal with the devil, you wanted to know your opponent or know what you got involved into. So at that time in my life, I started looking at a lot of the Aleister Crowley shit, this and that. Oh my God, let me tell you the Aleister Crowley story with this guy. All right, so when I realized that I may have done something bad, I start looking into Crowley. And I look at this book, the Book of Law. I have it on a PDF. It's on my computer screen at the house downstairs in the basement. We always hang outside at the gazebo. This day, this guy wants to take a nap and go downstairs and sleep. And I'm terrified because I know I have that damn thing up on the screen. And it says in that book, because I know you read the Book of Law, you're never to tell anyone that you read it, and if you're done reading it, to
You
burn it, whatever.
Yeah, you
it says
burn
not.
it. They said
Yeah.
if you don't burn it,
So
it'll become a center of pestilence that you have to destroy.
So here I have the guy. Yeah. So here I have the guy that we're outside and he wants to take a nap today. We have a couch right there, a gazebo. There's two of them. You can just sleep on there. And he wants to go downstairs. I ain't saying anything about it because you got to bear in mind, I'm kind of terrified. This time I think I'm with a person that has a lot of power over me. And I don't know whether, do I go his route and have an easy life? You don't know what to do in these matters because you're scared because someone knows more than you. Anyhow, this fucker go down the stairs. And when he goes downstairs, I don't leave right away. I stay up with my friend, Freddie, who's the mutual friend that I met this guy through. And I eventually go downstairs to turn off the computer. I swear when I sat down at the computer, it was like in the movie Fallen, when the spirit goes from person to person. The font of what I was seeing was almost like doing mushrooms. Everything got small. It wasn't my eyesight seeing what I was seeing. And this guy was laying over on the couch. Did he get inside me? I have no idea. Was I smoking marijuana? Can the spirits go through me that way? I have no idea how any of that stuff works, right? So anyhow, so getting through all of these spiritual experiences with him, weird shit. I mean, that's one story with him. Another one, straight up at his house, he said to me, Big Daddy, because at this time when he was coming to me with this, I'm going to call it the light people, gave me the thing. But this was given through information to me, all through my finding online. This wasn't a person that came to me. And what's going to really wrap the story together is at the end, when I actually met these people, and they know me too. It's when it's mind blowing. It's like this guy had a choice to go left or right, and I went the right choice. But it was the most terrifying thing. So let me give you another crazy story. One day we go down to the casino, Sam's Casino in Bethlehem, PA. We're going to gamble, play poker at the 1-2 tables or whatever. On the way down, the exit that we get off on is mile marker 666. We get inside. All he's playing before we get to the tables is 2s and 3s and 6s on the table poker. You know why? Because the 23 into the 6. So everything he's doing is to scare me. Bro, we leave the place. What song is playing? The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Okay.
We go to Wawa. We go to Wawa to pick up our hoagies to go home. What is our order number? 666.
Okay, you
I
sound like
laughed and
this is like your Keanu Reeves in Devil's Advocate, where he's starting
Oh
to
my
get
God.
clues, or even like I mentioned Rosemary's Baby, where he's encountering people who are not only in the know, but they've totally given
Yeah.
themselves over to the other side, and he's not in the know, and they're dropping hints and loving it. They can flash a demon face
Oh.
and gaslight him, like, "What? You didn't see anything." So
It was crazy. That day was insane. That when I saw the 666 on the sandwich thing, I showed it to him and laughed because he knows that I know. But I'm not saying anything about making it. You know, he used to always say to me, he said, Big Daddy, your life is shit. You know, sometimes you just got to make a sacrifice. He never said to me, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do, until one day at his house, his apartment in Spring Ridge, like the nicer part of Reading near Y Missing. And this guy says to me, mind you, Vitaly is always drunk. Vitaly from 2 o'clock to nighttime is drinking constantly. So you're not dealing with this guy. You know what they call spirits? Because people act a certain way. I don't know what happens. I don't see the spirits enter people. But I used to get fucked up. I used to get
Well, let me
drunk
add
and
one
shit.
one
And my
quick
wife-
thing, because you talk about the deal.
Yeah.
And I've been studying
Yeah.
various magical philosophies and traditions like intently for the last year. And one of the common facets with like what you'd call like people say voodoo, American voodoo, hoodoo specifically is one of the tenets is that it's possession. You have to interact with the spirit world, and you facilitate this with the spirits. This is why you have the rum offerings, which they spit on the face of their idols. They spray it out.
Yeah.
And so the alcohol is considered to be a way to create a connection, and the spirits basically make deals with you.
The conduit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
please go on.
know, and I noticed that 'cause I don't have that trouble anymore in life. I don't do that. The only thing I smoke is marijuana, but I'm not an idiot going out to bars like a fool like I used to be. And plus, the pill thing that they put me on when I was younger never helped me, especially when I went off to the races with that. Can't believe I got off that shit. But anyhow, so the one day at his house, we're sitting there and we're drunk. And he's drunk, but he's always the drunkest. And he huddles up. He goes, Big Daddy, why don't you join the dark side? The light's always going to be around. The dark side. And then he goes into talking about something about the 20-minute orgasm. And I said Kundalini. And he said to me something along the lines, you stupid humans and your dumb names for things. Bro, I know I'm all over the place.
Well, not
because
really.
there's
Not
so
really.
much I'm going to tell you.
This is fascinating. I really do appreciate you.
I don't want to. I
recounting.
don't want to take up too much of the chat's time. But dig this. He used to wear a necklace, and I could never make sense of it. It was holographic in look, and it had some weird Latin writing, but there was clear writing that said fat loss on it. It was a weird thing, something like you would see in the movie, the Layers of the Lost Ark, like something enchantment type of thing that he had on his neck, and it said fat loss around it, and then it said fat loss, and around it like shit like you would see on a United States coin. I didn't understand the writing, and it was holographic, and I knew a few of the dark things. So let me bring on the light people that came into my life at this time, and there's someone in the chat that said it to me a long time ago here. Calm Cardin, they said to me, because they have the prayer that, prayer is my handle on YouTube. And the guy said the prayer to me. Well, he said the first line of it. And I was floored because I don't think anybody knows about this. So this Calm Cardin might be one of these people. We have to watch this guy. A good person, though, I think. So anyhow, through looking at this stuff, you think the dark stuff, I researched it, and then the light stuff. 'Cause at the same time, I'm into the Secret and Joe Vitale stuff, and the Joe Vitale has this one guy on called Dr. Hugh Lynn, self-identity through Ho'oponopono, the Zero Limits thing. So I watched this video, Zero Limits 2. It's in Maui. The thing is ridiculous. The guy's talking about how he talks to things, this and that. He's saying, I love you and things. And I think it's nuts, right? But for some reason, a part of me keeps pushing me to this damn thing, and I keep doing it, right? And I become so heavily involved in this because you got to bear in mind, I'm thinking I sold my soul to the devil. I don't know what's going on. It's a terrible time of life. But a part of me is pushing me this way. But then this thing is such a ridiculous process, what this guy's talking about and all this stuff. Anyhow,
No,
one day I
can.
eventually,
No, please keep going because I can. I like where you're going with this, and
yeah.
this is like
So
fascinating to
one,
me.
so,
The
so
messaging. Go
one
on.
day, so at this time, when the Ho'oponopono came to me, was very early on when he came to me. It was almost at the same time. Like, okay, here's this, here's that. I didn't understand it back then. But as I got more involved in Ho'oponopono, and I mean, I did the cleaning like a fucking maniac. If you're listening to Dr. Hulendo says you ways to do the cleaning, it's basically meditating. It's making it your mind's business to just do these cleaning tools. And I would do it because this was before I took my first class. So I didn't know the whole process. I only knew basic things that they taught me. But there was shit given to me through the internet that no one has, that I had prior to even taking the class. So it was odd, like I was meant to have some stuff. All right, so whatever. I get so balls deep into Ho'oponopono and this thing. And this guy's aware of it too, because one day I realized I start saying this prayer around him, the I in the I prayer. Bro, he goes ape shit. We're at Margarita's Bar in Lauderdale. You don't fucking say that prayer around me. And I knew it, and I knew that. That's when I smiled, and I started saying, I am the I am the I, and I was acting like a jackass around, and it was annoying him like crazy.
Well, okay, wait.
And I said,
This
this
is
is
interesting.
not,
So you said a prayer, and he had a negative response to
yeah.
it. I mean,
The I am the I prayer. It would make him nuts. It would make him crazy. It was when he was super drunk, though. Yeah, man. Bro, I saw him sit in his phone one time. The phone, you know, you sit on the phone and it cracks the screen. It has the ink look.
yeah.
If you sit, he put his hand over it and set the phone went back to normal. He did that in front of me. Now, I'm not going to say I was drinking that night too. It could have been his screensaver was different. I don't know 100%. But 100% was that damn whole 666 story, the whole thing of him winking at me when he said something about contract, and the fact that he said right in front of me, why don't you join the dark side? The dark's not going to always be around. I'm going to tell you, I did answer that question years later in 2020 because I did see him again. So anyhow, I ended up kind of steering away from this guy, and we kept having trouble. And I finally saved up enough money to take my first Ho'oponopono class on March 22nd, March 23rd of 2013 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At this time, prior to taking this class with him, I meet this girl named Barbara Moon. Now, Barbara is on a level I cannot explain. And this is what my comment about people that I've met in this life that are hip to spiritual things that have blown my mind, never talk about it. Because even Devil Boy, the recruiter, would hint at stuff, but never would go into, oh, this is what you have to do. We're going to sacrifice this person. We can get you this much money. The same thing for this other girl I'm about to bring up. This girl was on another level, okay? I met this girl in February of 2013, a month before taking my first class. And she hung out with me almost every day. Mind you, this is a different girl than most girls I hung out with. Most girls I hang out with, I have a reason for wanting to hang out with them, at least back then. This girl wasn't about that. This was strictly a friend type of thing. And I respected that with her. There was something special about her. And, dude, through hanging out with her, talk to her, I remember the one day I told her about a dream that I had. Because I would talk about the Ho'oponopono with her, and I said, yeah, the one day I was listening to the lecture of Dr. Helen talk, and then I went into a dream state that went into another dream state that was super vivid, and a UFO ball-shaped thing came to me. I don't know what it was. It was a light type of thing. It was crazy the way that it looked. And the thing is, I used to always have nightmares about these things, ETs and UFOs. This was when I was in school. And this damn thing came to me, and it was the most calming thing. You know, people say they have like that they feel like something of God. I don't know what it is. The best thing that I've known in this physical world ever felt is an orgasm. This thing is a completely different thing. This feeling that came over me, and I can't explain to you what it is, but it was like there's no worries at all. You know, all the stress of everything was just now gone. And then just like that, I'm back on my bed. And I told that girl that story. You know what she said to me? big deal. What were you? Was it threatening? That's what flew me back, man. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Now I'm like really becoming Neo in the Matrix. Because what kind of person gives that type of response? The normie crowd. Oh wow, that's a crazy dream. It would be a normal thing.
Right,
She knew
right.
that it wasn't threatening.
So, like you said, Neo in the
So this,
Matrix, or like Kiana, whatever his name was, in
yeah,
the Devil's
man.
Advocate. This is intriguing to me because the idea that there's a group of people that are like in the know, that are deliberately waging spiritual war, or they've sold out to the darkness. That's fascinating to me, because
Yeah, well, I was going to be one of them. That's what I signed up for, and I don't think anything was going to come of it. I mean, I was fucked up when I was screwed up when I said that comment, and I've talked to other people in life that have said that comment. You know what I mean? It's not like I think people, we're like, we need to get shocked sometimes. We have
Well,
that type of
let me
part of us.
run one by
I'm just,
you. This is something that I think
yeah,
is somewhat. So I was involved in the Freemasons for a little while, and I was sitting in a bookstore one day because my car had broken down and I couldn't make it to lodge. So I'm in a bookstore
yeah,
and I grabbed two books. I grabbed Children of the Matrix by David Icke and The Idiot's Guide to Voodoo. And I'm reading a chapter in The Idiot's Guide to Voodoo where it says that the practitioner is called the horse when the spirit rides him. And so the spirit will say, "Feed my horse rum, give my horse a cigar." And that's how the spirit
yeah,
takes its libations. Then I opened up the David Icke book, and he says that the people going through these Masonic rituals are increasingly becoming more and more possessed by the reptilian, what he called the lower consciousness. And so, connecting the two, being possessed, you're a horse, and then you're being consumed by the reptilian. So then I get a call from this guy named
uh-huh.
Brother Craig, and he's like, "Hey, I can come pick you up and bring you to lodge." And I was like, "I'm fine." He's like, "No, I'm on my way." So I start walking out the bookstore, and I see this old man with a staff with a dragon's head reading to apparently his granddaughter. And he says he's reading to her, and it's this big book with with dinosaurs, and it has a Tyrannosaurus
Yeah,
Rex eating a horse. And he's reading to her, but he looks at me, and
bro, it's
he says
nuts.
the reptile is eating the horse, is what he says to me.
Yeah, wow.
And so I'm like, wait,
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. I love it. It's crazy. It's these messages and stuff. How they come about is wild. Yeah, it happens sometimes too. You can be listening to music or change through radio stations, and you might get messages. Sometimes when you get that type, I'm going to tell you when it happens for me. When I can really get it. If I take off of marijuana for like a month or two and come back and smoke my first time, get real high, I'll get these type of messages that come in. It's wild. I don't know why it's more at that time than it is any other time, but it's really noticeable type of stuff. Or maybe I'm just gunked out
no,
of my mind because I haven't
I
been
think
high in
there's
a
something.
while.
Look, I don't believe that David Icke has all the answers. I think he's a shill in many ways, but I think there are
Yeah,
some truths about consciousness and, are we alone here? The idea that there's aliens way out there. Well, if outer space is a metaphor for inner space, then it
yeah.
makes more sense that we are surrounded by alien life. Just not the
Well, now I
type,
can go into
but
definitely.
but they're
And here's the thing about the spirits. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off
no,
there. What were you
go
going
on.
to
No,
say?
no, that's exactly what I was going to say. That I'm thinking that they're, for better lack of a better term, interdimensionally tune into them.
Yeah, so that's what brought me. That's why I always say into your chat room. See, here's the thing with these subjects that we talk about. What I'm talking about, if I was to listen to myself 10 years ago and here, I'm dismissing it. No, we all believe what we want to believe, and we have these paths that we take us to. There's no right or wrong to these things because all it leads to argument, and that is where the chaos happens. It's in our, I think, through doing the cleaning, my issue has been the demons in my mind, meaning my negative thoughts. And if I do stuff to work on that, I don't have the issues. My problem is I can't channel correctly. I'll have so many thoughts going and driving me mad. But then when I'm really focused, I can play guitar well and I'm level. But there's times where I can go into the other, become aggravated. And it's not that I don't think I'm bipolar, but it shows me. But I notice it now,
Well, it's
and,
very
and it's something
easy.
I have to.
It's easy to psychopathologize experiences
Yeah.
that you would consider to be transcendent or spiritual. And I stopped listening to other people's opinions on my intuition when I recognized that this is a legitimate source of intel, information, and guidance, and that the people who are only operating at the level of the world can't see it, and it's not their fault. So I disregard them. But in my view, synchronicity has some a great deal of significance, but it's very minimized. But it has to do with communication with non-corporeal beings or whatever you want to call it. There is
Well,
some,
that's good.
yeah.
That gets into the C.W. Ledbetter books. So this is the way I do with anything. If I'm going to learn jazz, I'm going to go study. I'm going to understand my scales. I'm going to know the cage method throughout the guitar. I'm going to know where the 1, 3, 5, and 7 are for each chord mapped out throughout that fretboard. Why? Because those are my safe spots for navigating everywhere else I'm going to go. Because everything is addition, subtraction in music. There's nothing more than a major chord, minor chord, and seventh chord. Okay, so that's the way my rationale is thinking when I get into these spiritual subjects. I took that class. I found out about the additional reading. Bro, I jumped on all those books. C.W. Letter, Man Visible, Invisible, Secret Science Behind Miracles, and this and that. And it gets into the weird stuff like you're talking about. The grab a feather from a goose that was born on the third day laying an egg, kind of weird, nutty,
Yes,
rum magic type of
yes,
stuff.
yes.
Like you're
I'm
saying.
familiar. I'm familiar with like okay, C.W. Leadbeater, Freemason, but he wrote a lot
Yeah,
about like astral planes and energy. Like
yeah, Astral Planet Singer.
and
Yep.
this was like way before the modern New Age movement has kind of sanitized a lot of this stuff. But in the last year, I've made a deep study into magical philosophies, the ideas behind it, because my contention is that behind mass media propaganda, there are occult elements at work, and I'm trying to understand it. And it's very prominent with big public rituals like Super Bowls. And I'm like, why are they doing Thelemic Templar sex magic rituals in the middle of the Super Bowl? Like, there's a reason
Yeah, and I
for it.
wish I had an answer for you. I don't. That never comes about. What's funny? That guy, if he was going to try to get me to go to the other side, I always wonder this in my head. Why is it such a bad presentation of a delivery guy? Yeah, he's a great musician. But he lives in an apartment. It's a mess. He drinks. He's kind of freaking chubby. His girls that he get are terrible. It's like, you know what I mean? They could have came to me with something a little bit more enticing, but it was this guy here, and it was this. You know what? I love that guy to death, man, because he was fun to be around, but he was fucking wild, brothers. Me and him would argue constantly about spiritual stuff in our heads back and forth, and then every now and then we would speak about it. Like he would hear my thoughts. I'd have to talk it to him, but I didn't even talk it. That guy could hear me. He was wild like that. So anyway, so I met that girl. She blows my mind about the knowing about the UFO wasn't a threatening thing. Anyhow, maybe 3 weeks later, I take my first class. Bro, I'm $30 short for this class. Who lends me the money to get it? This guy right here on the screen. I take my class. Before I go to my class on that Saturday morning, I meet with this guy on Friday to break all ties with him. I have his recording equipment at my house because I did his I wouldn't call myself a recording engineer. I wasn't really hip to how the stuff worked back then, but people would give him tracks and they needed him to be recorded over, and I knew how to press record on Cubase and capture his moments. And I want to give him all the stuff back, his Mofo, Dave Smith Mofo, and this other keyboard that he had. And bro, the guy says to me, I'm hitting him back to him. He goes, "Well, if you're gonna go to Philadelphia tomorrow, he's giving me the directions to where I'm going. I never told him where I was going. Like he would do that stuff. Then I realized, okay, this guy is trying to scare you. Or at least today I understand what that is.
Now,
But
interestingly, Diana South says media people are in that club, the dark side. So I have this idea that the media, the mainstream mediation
yeah,
at large, is essentially the world state church, and it's definitely the case. I think it functions like a secret society, and that there are some people who are more in the know about media manipulation, propaganda, and fakery. But I think there's a deeper level to it, and it's like I'd like to just focus on the mere political and the propaganda, but you cannot separate it from what appears to be occult undertones, trappings,
and
rich.
especially when it happens to you. You know, your situation, that's weird, the whole thing of people reading stuff. Mine's different. I had it verified many times. Not just with the dark side guy. Then I get to the class, and that's just a whole other freaking thing. So then it's just, my mind is blown. You become, you become, anyhow, I didn't go on any dark route, but for a whole many years, I was screwed up. Because even in 2020, the guy needed to record again. And, I still was friend with the other guy. And I never disliked the guy. But bro, he comes here, he's normal for a little bit, he starts drinking vodka, and there he goes with the same bullshit again. Talking stupid. This time going on about angels. I said, get the fuck out of here. You know what that motherfucker said to me, his last words before he left his house? He goes, I don't know what those people promised you. I don't know what they promised me. Because I don't even know what the fuck is going on. But that's what he said to me. Like, it's just crazy. And this is 100% true story. You can even verify this on Sage Quay's channel. There's an interview that he had with a lady maybe a year and a half ago where I kind of spill out what I taught. There might be more detail in there of stuff, but it's just wild. So what I'm getting at, when that happened for me, my whole life changed
Yeah, okay. You said
completely.
that at the beginning. You said when you have a legitimate spiritual experience, it changes your whole
Yeah,
life. And before I got on YouTube, I was a
yeah,
recluse. I was a hermit. I spent my time in libraries, and I was really doing my own thing. I was doing just fine. I had no friends. I was perfectly fine, making good money. And then something happened in my life where I listened to my intuition. I followed something, and I think I confronted what I believe to be um, evil incarnated in somebody. And this person was like, in a
okay,
way, something of a nemesis. I had to overcome something. I had to stop this person. But it occurred to me that I was in a fight of some kind, that there is light versus
yeah,
dark, and dark wins by default if light, and by light, I mean everything you associate with higher consciousness, innocence, creativity. And there's a war on these aspects of us, trying to reduce us to the mere bestial. But when I saw that we're in the middle of what you could call a spiritual war, it did seem like my life immediately changed because I took a side. And then doors opened, and within a week, I find myself getting involved in looking at fake shootings and questioning the news. And I never paid attention to politics before, and I suddenly start saying, "Hey, this is where the fight's happening. It's a mind war."
nice, mind blowing. You're a kahuna in this. I know nobody knows you but us, what, 50 or 40 people, but you're in the existence. Seriously, people like you and Simon Shack are huge. I say it to you guys all the time. I mean, I don't say it all the time, but really, and not to blow up your head, but it's just humongous stuff that you guys are doing. At least that I can understand, because the other stuff I don't understand, all that spiritual stuff. I wish I could chime in and say this, and that. I just know I had the weird
Well,
situation.
we all come to this from our own vantage points, and that's why the Infinite Plane Society has always been built in a think tank, because one person couldn't see this from every vantage point, and everyone has their own uh, view on it and their own background, and people add to this massive puzzle. So it's great that we have so many different people who are all looking at the same problem, but from slightly different um, levels of experience and awareness. And so I appreciate you calling in and talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of
One more
people.
thing before I
Uh
leave.
huh. Uh huh.
I'm just gonna set you guys off with this. I'm gonna put in the Discord chat a video of me doing a stupid dance. This woman want me to go out with her, right? And I said, if I go out and I'm gonna dance and make a fool of you, and I did a stupid dance. Watch this orb that flies around me. I brought this orb up at a class I went to a few years back, like it was nothing. To like, oh, it's one of your ancestors. It's crazy. But wait till you see this video. It's pretty cool. You'll see it. The orb comes in from the right over to the top. You don't have to put it on the screen here. Watch it for yourself, but I'll put it in the think tank in Discord. And my friends, thank you for having me. I'm sorry that I'm all over the place, but it was a pleasure to be here with everybody today, and I thank you. And I'll let you go now.
Thank you. Appreciate the call, and I will look at that clip and I'll either review it tonight or we'll go over it tomorrow. Thanks for
Yeah.
taking the time. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. Bye.
All right, that's Estevan, and wow, just under 33 minutes that call, and we covered feels like 1,000 miles. That was insane. Very interesting. Piano and Dante says, "Did your fight occur while you were mingled with Freemasonry, Tim?" Yeah. So I mentioned that situation where I'm walking out of the bookstore and this man says the reptile is eating the horse, but he looked at me in the eyes when he said it, even though he was reading to his granddaughter, and I had just read in these two different books the description of the possessed person as a horse, and then in the other book, the person is being progressively devoured by the reptilian. And so I was getting, at that time, I was reading into these synchronistic messaging that, yeah, there's something going on beneath the surface. And I'm somehow interacting with some representatives of something big. And I'm not part of any groups or clubs other than the IPS, but um, I've had instances that I would describe as examples of gang stalking and also deliberate game playing. So this caller's talking about how this guy winks, like there's like this almost mockery. Well, when I had, for example, I had left the Scottish Rite Temple after that whole thing. You go through all the degrees, and as I'm driving back to my place, it's the middle of the night. My odometer is broken. Like somebody had cut my odometer while I was in the temple, and my mileage was stuck on 33. And I remember when I got in the car, there was a Smirnoff bottle cap with a double-headed eagle, which I had just been shown on a symbol in the one of these rites on the way out. I was studying this thing. So there were like different levels of communication going on, and there seemed to be elements here of telling me in no uncertain terms that I can be reached anytime, anywhere. And I've had other examples, like just random stuff. I'm supposed to go out of town and something happens. So I'm just saying, I'm not a paranoid, and I'm not necessarily a believer in any specific religious paradigm, but I do get the idea that this war on our minds is merely the surface level, and there's probably something deeper. All right, let me see. Yeah, awesome caller says etheric bliss. Great call, Esteban says piano. That's why I'm glad we have all these different callers, because a lot of people relate to it. Patricia Steer says this caller has me so intrigued. Lean Dion says broadcasting. Yeah, broadcasting is spellcasting. I've seen this, was it news, north, east, west, south? In every witchcraft ritual, they actually point to the 4 cardinal directions when they make their circle before they do their spellcasting. And I have been investigating, I've been researching this stuff for a long time, and one of the things that got me interested in Freemasonry was C.W. Leadbeater's work. And I didn't know what it was, but I was surrounded by them when I was in the military, and I started looking into it. I visited a temple, and I became intrigued. And at the same time, I was also studying the OTO. I got involved with an abbey, Abbey of Thelema, and they do the whole thing just like the other groups do. They put the bag over your head. The initiation rites are almost the same, whether it's the Egyptian mystery schools, the New Age stuff, or the Judeo-Christian based Masonic stuff. The fundamental structure is the same, and it's not insignificant that we see the trappings, the various symbols, and all the archetypes and the mythologies and the lore from these groups superimpose over mainstream movies. I mean, when I first saw The Truman Show, the reason why it really stood out to me as mind-blowing was simply that the dog star is what woke him up. And I had an understanding of what that meant, and I realized, okay, there's an occult aspect to everything mainstream, an esoteric. RR says, we're living under 5th generation warfare, a highly refined process by MK Ultra. Now, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not here to proffer anything as far as like spiritual teachings, but I will say that there's a reason why intuition, synchronicity, meaning itself is excluded from the dominant world paradigm. I don't think we're in a dead universe. I don't think we're just apes with big egos. And you can't say, oh, he's a flat earther, because like I'm not even an earther. Like, convince me we're on a discrete object. Convince me of that first, and then we can maybe get somewhere. But I don't even know, because I don't even think necessarily that the universe exists until it's experienced. And so, as far as models go, I don't really have a static model of balls spinning in space, but that doesn't mean that I'm rejecting science. But I think that we've been misled. I think we've been given a false paradigm, and I do think space, outer space, is a metaphor for inner space and mind control. But I think beneath the mind control, what's deeper than that? Is there another element to it? And before I ever looked at mainstream Normieville level news, I had been, made aware that there does seem to be some kind of light versus dark thing happening here, and that most people are pawns. And at some point, I decided not to be a pawn, and it seemed to be a catalyst. Tim, Marilyn Manson is releasing a comeback album called One Assassination Under God. Now that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. In his video, Coma White, he plays JFK, he gets killed. And then on his new album, he released a single, and I pointed it out because it had the shape of Nevada and the all-seeing eye on it. But I'm glad you brought that up. So I meant to look back and see what is he going to project here. Because one of the things about Marilyn Manson is that I'm not saying he's a metascriptor, but he's certainly a carrier of a lot of metascript messaging. He's been associated with some very high-profile psyops, Littleton, for example. Okay, let's see here. Going through your comments. Mango says words are used to manipulate minds. Our lives get defined by them. Yeah, one of the first things that I was taught when I got involved in the Abbey of Thelema was the sign of the finger over the lips, silence. That silence, in this sense, it's saying that you have to start measuring your words or understanding their import. That, in fact, the caller mentioned Book of the Law, and in Book of the Law, it's the word of the new age, according to Crowley. They said is abracadabra, which means I create as I speak. And so one of the first things they emphasized, was recognizing that your spoken words are not only things, but you have to take some responsibility for what happens in your life based on what you send out there as far as messaging. And this isn't like law of attraction necessarily, but it's about being cognizant of where your mind's going. It's like a discipline. But then there is another aspect to it as well. And words, sigils, sigil magic, there's a whole lot of stuff we can go into there. That this is why I've been studying this stuff. I've been trying to figure out what's the point. Are we being unconsciously dragged into some kind of collective group magical ritual? And by all definitions, the answer would be yes. Jessica Lynn says Keanu Reeves is Neo. Oh yeah, Keanu Reeves has a band called Dog Star. Fascinating. I remember he had talked about this before, and someone had said that at every hotel they stayed at, he insisted on being in room number 23. I'll have to find something. 360 Pick says no one knows the origin of the word dog. RR says, Tim, can you talk about your military experience? I was 54 Bravo at first, which is nuke biochemical decon, and I don't believe in nukes. And I think the reason why they have such an emphasis on decontamination is to have an army, a literal army of believers in weapons of mass destruction, because it's the belief in these things that gives the power elite the ability to manipulate us. And so I was a true believer in all of these things. But I reclassed. Into 92 Mike, which is mortuary affairs. And then that's how I got into, in the civilian side, working for the medical investigators. This is a quote really quick from Frank Herbert, author of Dune. They're not mad, they're trained to believe, not to know. Belief can be manipulated, only knowledge is dangerous. And so to talk about my military experience, just in a brief synopsis, I was brainwashed. I was brainwashed to be a worldview reinforcer. That's kind of how I see it looking back. Plain Dakota says, Tim, did you see my post on Gilded? October 4th, 1582 was when our current calendar was implemented. Great information there. Fascinating. I think this is all really good information. The Marilyn Manson connection, one assassination under God. Now, one more point. Coma White comes out, and in that Coma White, he plays JFK and he gets assassinated. And they delayed the release of that video on MTV because JFK Jr. died about the time it was going to be released. Here we go. Marilyn Manson to release comeback album, One Assassination Under God. Fascinating. And it's going to be released on 11/22. Okay, the 12th album. Okay, this is going to be something worth unpacking. I'll look into this. Thanks for the information. I have to go run an errand, so I have to cut this short. I wish I had a lot more time, but hopefully those of you who listened in and maybe want to have us continue on these various threads will leave comments below. Salty says, I want to brush off the mainstream memes as coincidence, but it keeps getting more and more specifically personal. Piano says, okay, thanks. Members of my family are Freemasons. They say once a Freemason, always a Freemason. What are your thoughts about this? Well, I'm not a dues-paying member. And I also have to say that before I joined that, I was doing so with the specific intention of just learning. I was doing a study of a lot of different cults. I joined Scientology for the same reason. So I never really went in, I guess, with the right intentions. So it wasn't right that I stayed in. It was beyond curiosity. It's just I wanted to investigate. And I've always done these deep dives. And it's fascinating how many people
Thank you for feeding the cracked in case. The
How-
IPS appreciates the support.
It's amazing
Thanks, Tim.
how many people will talk about these things, but won't go and investigate it personally. Thank you for feeding the Krakoan Quace. We appreciate the support very much. And you'll get the Zoom links tomorrow. I will send those out. Mango says, watch the McMahon documentary. You'll find it interesting. Jessica Lynn says, dog is God backwards. Piano says, what is Tim about? Can we trust him? What do you say, Tim? I say, don't trust me, trust yourself. You have to become the final arbiter of what you believe. And I'm not telling you, listen to alt media, take the red pill. I'm saying, think for yourself and recognize that the world stage is a model and it's not the territory. And the people who are still stuck in that frame of mind, they've been given a false map of reality. So what I'm promoting here isn't religious or political. This is really philosophical more than anything. So it's not about trusting me. I'm not offering a belief system. I'm offering here what we're compiling here is a methodology, an operating system. It's a way of approaching media, and it's applied skepticism is what it is. So to say that, like I couldn't possibly mislead you. I couldn't possibly. I'm not trying to tell you to believe. And the whole concept of auto hoaxing or skepticism is not believing until you have evidence. And one of the reasons why I don't get into what we term spiritual very often or the paranormal is that it's just hard to remain objective about it. It gets into the realm of subjectivity, and I don't want to get into mystification. One of my objectives here has been to demystify media and to look in deeper. It's one of the reasons why I went to a pagan event last year, which there's one this weekend. I'll probably check it out again to figure out what's this connection between media and magic, and is there a difference? And it's getting to be really intriguing as far as a line of inquiry and research. All right, let's see here. AutoHoaxCon on Saturn Day. I'm going to do my best. I have my slides. I have everything ready to go. I didn't have the amount of time I needed to prepare, but that's okay. We had a great callers tonight. First-time callers. Let's see, I'm going through your comments on Discord. Yeah, there's so much we didn't get to, but we'll have a lot more time this weekend. Tomorrow's Infinite Plane Saturn Day. So if you don't know, Infinite Plane Saturn Day is generally open phones, and we will review. So if we missed anything, if we didn't spend enough time on any subject, if we just glossed over things, tomorrow's the day to address it. And if you want to bounce off of any of the conversations we started tonight, tomorrow would be the day for that. Lean Dion says, isn't media an old god of illusion? Yes, absolutely. Jessica Lynn says, Trump is the orange cat Garfield. We talked about the significance of orange. 360 Pick says, how do we support you out there, Mr. Osmond? Yeah, I want to say thanks again to all of you who have been supporting the channel, ips.monster, Patreon, or the Ko-Fi. You can support me by purchasing the art. All of it goes into this. And to make sure that we don't have any delays, to make sure everything goes according to plan, I am actually seeking a full-time job with T-Mobile, maybe a different call center, but work that won't disrupt this. And, this is just a backup plan. It's a contingency. Because for all we know, I may get the summary judgment I asked for, and it's going to be collectible here within a month. So whatever. We have multiple paths to victory. Piano says, skepticism is what drew me to your channel, enjoying the streams, keep it up. Yeah, skepticism, these things matter. Logic matters. We have to recognize logical fallacies, visual lies. We're in an age of visual illiteracy. We're already in a deep faked world. And what we represent here, I think, is the cutting fringe. We are the cutting fringe. There aren't any other platforms. There are no bodies, no demographics. There's no aggregate of individuals who are operating outside of the MSM and MSM Plus box, mainstream and alt media. That's the universe of acknowledged ideas. Alex Jones is banned. He's censored. He's being fined $1 billion, but he's acknowledged. He exists. Are we acknowledged? Are true media skeptics acknowledged? No. We're playing with classified information, top secret stuff. We're playing with fire. It's very Promethean in a way. stealing the fire of the gods, lighting up the darkness below. What we're doing here is probably not even appreciated. Because, see, we're not part of their game. Strange game, the only winning move is not to play. All right, good night, Raft. See you Saturday, says let's go. Thank you. Angst G says great show tonight. Elephant Tusk says you're either with the IPS or with the auto believers. Yeah, which side of the screen are you on? The screen is this veil that we're talking about. Which side are you on? Okay, this is Chief Crow Auto Hoax. We'll have Infinite Plane Saturday tomorrow. See you then. In fact, tomorrow's the day for Auto Hoax Con, so we might do both. We might do Infinite Plane Saturday first. I'll let you know.
I'm on Auto Hoax, and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time. Crisis actor with soulless eyes.
My buddy and me.
Telecommunications Act of 1996. 96, y'all. Gonna filter your eyes and scrub your mind. The weatherman, he's just another bad joke. You can be a doomed little donkey like Eeyore. I'ma be an auto hoax, and it feels so